right, guys, you are watching the very first episode officially of DynaMic'd up here on Body Slam Nuts, YouTube and Twitch and Facebook, wherever the hell you guys are watching us. AEW Dynamite off the air at promptly 10 p.m., which is unusual for AEW Dynamite, but hey, I'm not going to complain about it. It was a good show. And what better way to talk about anything AEW Dynamite than with my partner in crime over here. You know him, you love him. It's JPJ.
How we doing?
Happy Wednesday, sir.
Yes, happy Wednesday to you. Very excited to be here with you on Body Slam doing this. We had, like we said when we announced it over the weekend for After Mania, we had been chatting about this for a bit. So I'm glad we're here. I'm happy. And yeah, it was a good show tonight. It's a good one to talk about to start on, for sure.
Yeah, definitely good show. We finally decided the name today. So I think
we had a few floating around, but you know.
Yeah, and then of course the scramble of like, okay, we have the name, now we got to make sure we have assets. So
yeah, exactly.
If anything looks bad, guys, I mean, it is what it is.
Listen,
but
yeah.
But regardless, if you also want to contribute to helping us get maybe some more professional graphics or just helping the team out, what you can do is check out our sponsor, Shroom Bar. Because, I mean, come on, they are the protein mushroom bar. It's made up of not psychedelics, but 4 powerful mushroom adaptogens. It has lion's mane, which increases focus, memory, and neuroplasticity, making it easier to form new patterns and learn new things. Next time you're trying to learn that new move, it'll actually stick in your head rather than forgetting it immediately. It has cordyceps, which increases VO2 max, blood flow, and overall endurance. Giggity. It has reishi, which decreases stress. It has turkey tail, which boosts your immune system. And we all know you need that on those nasty-ass gym mats. So on top of that, it also has 12 grams of protein. So check out eatshroombar.com and use code BODYSLAM at checkout for 25% off of your first order. So Shroombar, thank you for helping out Body Slam with all of our programming. And as always, guys, if you want to make sure that your comments are getting read on the screen, drop a super chat in the YouTube chat. That is your guaranteed way to make sure that you are noticed, you are heard, and you are displayed. But aside from that, I mean, we had a pretty interesting Dynamite to get into, knowing that we have some new champions to start out the show, JPJ.
It's true, but before we even got to the new champions, Master P was in the house, Jose.
Yes, the New Orleans native rap legend.
Make him say,
Yeah.
You know, when Joe did that, I popped. No, but yeah, that was fun. That was fun. They announced it yesterday and I was like, Master P. Okay. All right, here we go. Good times. I remember him. And
I'd rather be Percy Miller than Percy Watson. So
yeah. And he's Coach P now. So, he came out there and I thought he did pretty good. I thought this whole segment was pretty good. And I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was fun. It led to obviously him introducing the Opps and all that. And Joe being Joe, Joe's just the best. He's just the greatest. And, him going into that and then getting serious and then what occurred afterwards with the Death Riders and all that fun stuff. But I thought this was a great first segment. Very entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely entertained. It's not too often we see Dynamite start with like such a long promo segment. I mean, it's always good to reinforce the fact that Coach P is down with OPP, as the kids say. But we did see, as Joe was delivering that speech about them winning the Trios Championships last week and how Mox passed out in his arms, we see Marina Shafir making her way out to ringside so the Death Riders can get a jump on them. So, of course, mayhem ensues. It looks like the Opps are down. It looks like they're going to try to get Coach P. But alas, right before Mox can do anything, Samoa Joe locks in that Kikina clutch, center of the ring, gets him groggy again. And to even the odds, just one more time, we also see Swerve Strickland coming out. Everybody doing the dance, Prince Nana at ringside. But because we can never have the baby faces have enough on their side, we do see the Elite also make their way out to the ring to try to play foil to Swerve Strickland, as the Elite tends to do. And then, not to be outdone, we also saw Kenny Omega, our international champion, coming out with a chair to sandwich them in the ring, to which the Elite and the Death Riders all just hightail it out of there, as they do. So.
It was... Oh, sorry, go ahead. All right.
I was going to say, those wise words from Samoa Joe at the end of that segment, acknowledging that we are in Swerve's house, greeting him, good to see him. But Mox has him where he wants him, and he wants his AEW World Championship back.
I love it. I'm all for it. When, I was lucky enough to be in the building last week because it was in Boston and I was there. And I had the feeling that I thought the Opps were going to win the match. I just felt like when I knew it was main eventing, and I was like, oh, I think maybe they do it, but I didn't expect Joe to choke out Moxley. That was really the shock to me. More than the Death Riders losing was that Moxley was the one that got choked out by Joe. And then I was like, oh, could they do like the world title? Like this is a quick little world title thing that leads to something bigger. And I think Joe's the perfect opponent. He's a former AEW champion. Obviously he's a trios champion now, but he has a history of it. Him choking out Moxley 2 weeks in a row. And Joe's like the perfect kind of guy because you can put him in a program real quick. You don't need a lot of build up when it's Joe. The crowd's going to be 1000% behind Joe. I just think this is kind of like a perfect matchup for Moxley on the way to the pay-per-view.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have two certified badasses going at it one after the other. So, I mean, you have Joe riding the waves of coming back from doing Twisted Metal, which he got huge reviews for being a great portrayal on that show. And then just kind of seeing this evolution of John Moxley ever since the Death Riders had evolved from the BCC, taking that world title off of Bryan Danielson way back when to kind of just the complete 180 they've taken since. It's not too often that we were used to seeing John Moxley in like a skittish, evasive mode, but I mean, as we've seen multiple times before, it tends to be kind of a facade because he'll still get down and dirty whenever he needs to. So
absolutely. I've actually been since Revolution. I've been actually kind of digging what they've been doing with the Death Riders, at least way more than I was digging it before that. Like I was not like a lot of us. I was not into like I like the guys in the Death Riders, but the story was really doing nothing for me. But since Revolution, like that whole thing with Swerve and now what they're doing now, I'm digging it a lot more. I'm digging it a lot more. I like the different, there's just been like a kind of a different vibe to it, even though a lot of it is the same. It just feels different. Like Moxley is kind of, I don't know, like he's been vulnerable a little bit. Like we've seen him be in vulnerable situations, kind of. He always gets out of them. But I don't know. I've just been digging it a lot more lately than I felt like I was like the first 4 or 5 months. So
I don't know. I think I'm still on the fence because I mean you have like that fallout from Revolution and like how Christian came in and used that contract and he was the one that ended up tapping out, not even Copeland.
Yeah.
That rematch they ended up having on Dynamite, literally the next episode of Dynamite in that street fight, and we see Mox take that huge suplex onto Spike and everything too. So definitely trying to right the wrong there, but I mean, we also get into how the end of Dynasty played out.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know. It feels like it's 1 step forward and 3 steps back sometimes with the Death Riders. So I feel like now them trying to like figure out the pieces while Pac was injured and then obviously losing the trios titles as kind of a coincidence, whether it was delivered or not, it is what it is. But I feel like now we're somewhere where we kind of have a chance for the Death Riders to like get their teeth sunk into like a true story that involves the entire stable, not just Mox having to defend the title because he's world champion. It actually feels like we have some footing here, and it could set up some stuff for Double or Nothing.
100%.
We'll get into things that get announced later in the show. But yeah, strong opening segment, I'd say.
Yeah, I fully agree. I thought it was good, and the crowd was hot. It was a hot crowd in New Orleans tonight. So, yeah, this got the crowd riled up, and I think it set the pace for the rest of the show.
Yeah, ironically, the site of WrestleMania 42, the week after WrestleMania 41. So,
yeah,
I don't know if that was a coincidental scheduling by AEW or it just worked out that way. But hey,
yeah,
it's a good crowd. It's a good crowd. And then following that, we did see a backstage segment with the Patriarchy and Renee Paquette congratulating Nick Wayne on becoming the youngest singles champion, not only Ring of Honor history, but AEW, capturing that Ring of Honor World Television title last week on Collision. And then we immediately see Christian Cage doing Christian Cage things of snatching the championship and basically saying that that wouldn't have happened without him. I mean, without your father who gave you that opportunity. And we've been celebrating you for the last week. Your mother and I extensively celebrating your victory last week, which is
what a dog.
Always fun to hear.
What a dog. Yeah, that's just
from your
right in his face. Yeah, exactly.
Although I will say, I do like the fact that Nick is not stepping down to him the same way we've seen Kill Switch do in the past, because he immediately retorts back, well, you see what happens when you stick to a plan is you actually win championships. And as he's trying to snatch the belt back from Christian, Christian actually doesn't give it back. Instead, he places it on Nick's shoulder and he walks away. Yeah. And the awkwardness that ensues after that moment. But
yeah, he was flustered. Christian was flustered that Nick said something to him. Yeah, and when Nick clapped back at him, and he just did the "I love my family," and then he just kind of books it. But you could tell that Christian was flustered that he spoke back. So I don't know if it was a thing like, all right, like he's really is learning from me, or he was just like, I'm like you. I'm very excited that Nick is kind of. It feels like we're getting to Nick breaking off here and doing other things. That's at least what is where it's going. I feel like.
Do you think they break it off before he goes to do Super Juniors?
I think so, because they'll probably be gone for at least a month straight, right, or something like that.
I mean, here. I mean, those tournaments in New Japan are no joke, and then obviously,
exactly. So
the tournament starting,
you would assume he's still going to be the Ring of Honor TV champ when he goes over there.
Oh no, he's taking that over there.
So I don't know if he'll defend it.
Why they push back Supercard of Honor, which by the way, if you guys didn't see, it is not going to happen in May anymore. It's going to be the Friday before AEW All In from the Esports Arena in Arlington, Texas. So the home of last year's Death Before Dishonor, going to host the biggest Ring of Honor show of the year. As well as finding out that Death Before Dishonor is moving to September from the 2300 Arena in Philly. So looks like ROH is trying to get back into some vintage ROH venues, which I'm not mad at.
No, they should. They should. It would be good. It would be good. I'm not as into Ring of Honor as others, but I have plenty of friends that, Ring of Honor has been a struggle. It's been a struggle for a while.
Struggle is not the word I would use.
I think I'm being friendly. I think I'm being polite, but it's been a struggle for a long time. So to see them go to like these areas and these old arenas that are like kind of synonymous with the brand, and like they've gone there before, they always get good crowds there. That's what you want. I know everyone's been talking about a TV contract for what feels like forever. I don't know if that will ever happen, but
I feel like at this point you got to let the talks go and then actually start working on getting the programming so it stands on its own instead of trying to lobby for it.
Absolutely.
Have your champions on TV. Have your championships defended on Ring of Honor TV.
That would help. I think the idea originally was, or at least I would think the thought process was, well, if we have the Ring of Honor champions on the AEW shows, people will go watch Ring of Honor. It's just not the case. People are going to watch Ring of Honor to see the championships being defended on Ring of Honor. That's what people want to see. Not, it's good once in a while. Once in a while, you can throw the Ring of Honor champion or women, whatever, on there. And it's like, oh, cool. All right. Wow, that's cool. But when they're a regular over here and then they're never on the show that they represent as a champion, that does no good for the show. It just does no good. So maybe this is a start, like you said, of them getting back on track. So.
And getting Ring of Honor back into a brand that could stand on its own instead of just being AEW Dark 2.0.
Exactly.
Alas, that does lead us into some in-ring competition for the first time on this episode. Only took us about maybe 20 minutes or so to get there, which doesn't always happen on a Dynamite, but hey, we start out hot. We have Mark Briscoe going against Ricochet one-on-one. JPJ, I'm going to let you take the reins on this.
Yeah, first, I love Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe, no matter what he does, no matter who he's facing, no matter what he does, the crowd he gets the crowd going. He just has fun matches. He gets everybody jacked up. And excited for his matches, and he can wrestle any style, like he can wrestle any size, any style, any type, and he just always has a good match. And you put him in there with a guy like Ricochet, and what do you think's going to happen? Like real good stuff is going to happen. This wasn't the longest match, but it was a very, very good match. They all got their stuff, and I love the head tapping, and the crowd was really getting on Ricochet for being bald. And he goes out to ringside, and he grabs a fan, content creator. I don't remember his name. It's a guy I've seen on the internet before, but he kind of grabs him and he's like, they're making fun of you. They're calling you bald. Like and Ricochet's kind of leaning in to that, which was like a funny little thing that they did there. And then, Ricochet starts using the heel tactics. He does look like a cheap shot when he gets behind the referee's back, gives him a little cheap shot. And then he starts taking over the match. And I'm going to be honest with you, Jose, Mark Briscoe, when he's on AEW, at least, he's the guy that goes out there, has a great match, but he always puts the other guy over. That's what he really is. And I assumed, and you know what happens, but I was just like, oh, all right, this will be another good match and Ricochet will win and that'll be that. But at the end of this match, Briscoe rolled him up. Briscoe rolled him up with a victory roll and got the 1, 2, 3. And Ricochet was speechless, mouth wide open, couldn't believe it. And I thought that was obviously we have to see where they go with this. Like, I assume this will affect Ricochet's character moving forward and things like that. And there was stuff after the match that happened as well. But I thought that was a nice little change because I was in the mindset of just, okay, yep, typical Briscoe, great match, but an L. And they completely flipped it on me. And I was actually very shocked that Briscoe pulled off the win here. But I liked it. I thought it went well.
It's also refreshing anytime that Ricochet gets foiled in the end, especially with this heel, just because he's such. I mean this in the most respectful way. It's just the current version of Ricochet is just a very much whiny bitch. It's I know that did not just happen. Just so full of himself. It's no way that actually happened, to the point where you just see it literally affect him throughout the episode, because it's not the last we're going to see of Ricochet as well, too. So,
no,
I mean, a win for Mark Briscoe is always good to see, especially considering he's been the good hand for so long. I mean, anybody that loses a world championship to Chris Jericho, my heart's out to you. So,
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. And then, then the stuff that happens after the match that kind of foreshadows maybe another feud for Ricochet coming up here that I think will be a very good feud for both these individuals. With the stuff with Kevin, Ricochet attacks Briscoe with the chair. He pulls out the scissors, and it's oh God, he's going to just take Mark out here. Yeah. But then Kevin Knight shows up, and he gets out. He makes the save. He ducks. He hits Ricochet. They go back and forth. He steps on the scissors so Ricochet can't have them. And then he kind of, raises Mark Briscoe's hand, and then, kind of nice little moment there. But you sign me up for Kevin Knight and Ricochet. If we're going to get that, sign me up, because, I think that'll be a good program for both those guys.
And not even just that, Kevin Knight's proven to be just a huge asset since he got signed by AEW. I mean, he was kind of a hot ticket, when we saw him doing stuff with New Japan and with TNA, but actually seeing him already fully integrated into programs and having those big performances is so refreshing to see. And then, I mean, we combine that with who his tag team partner is later. Of course, it's a recipe for success, because why wouldn't it be? But on the topic of tag teams, we do get to finally hear from FTR on Dynamite for the first time in ages. Although there's a twist, because in this whole episode of Dynamite, Tony Schiavone's not on commentary. It's Ian Riccaboni. Good Lord. Y'all can tweet me at Hulk Hogan if you have an issue with my pronunciation. I apologize. Taz and, of course, we have Excalibur. Tony Schiavone in the ring for the interview, expecting FTR, but before we get to FTR, we get to one Mr. Stokely Hathaway.
Yeah.
Who we have not seen in quite some time.
Yeah.
And it turns out that Stokely Hathaway is now going to be the agent representing FTR. So if anybody wants to talk to them, they got to talk to him first. But nonetheless, FTR do make their way out to the ring. Just this whole heel turn with FTR and just the way they've gone about it, the viciousness has been so refreshing. Just because it feels like they've always been okay, we're rooting for them because they're the real tag team. They're the real wrestler. And on top of that, all the real life stuff that they've done, humanitarian, it's hard to root against them. I mean, obviously we had that whole benefit show in Asheville with everything that happened with the Hurricanes, but you see just the stark contrast now of just them trying to reassure oh, it's all business stuff and everything too. And they're focused on getting those tag titles back. Also noticing that it's the 40th anniversary of a little crew called the Rock and Roll Express.
Sure is.
Who just so happens to be at ringside, so they get invited into the ring and everything. But of course, FTR trying to tear them down, and then we even see them just go into just heinous heel mode. It's not enough just to attack the Rock and Roll Express. No. Ricky Morton, bless his heart, 70-something years old. He is bumping with the best of them. He was in that senior scramble at GCW this past weekend as well.
Yeah.
Taking a huge spike pile driver from FTR.
Incredible.
Just, I don't know how Ricky Morton is human at this point.
I saw him not that long ago. He was at, I forget where it was, but it was somewhere around, he did a Canadian Destroyer.
He does it like it's nothing to it.
Yeah.
He's somehow adapted the best parts of the 80s style with modern flair. I'm just
yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know how a man, and some of the stuff FTR was saying was obviously them being jerks. But he wasn't lying. They lived a fast life. They lived a fast life in the 70s and 80s, those guys. So for him to be of that age and still able to do that, that is incredible. Like truly, like that is, taking a big bump is one thing, but when you're like wrestling at that level and being able to do moves like that when you're in your mid to late 70s after wrestling for 40 years, like that's not a normal thing. That's not a normal thing. But I agree with you. I love this. I know. I love this FT. I love when FTR are vicious. I love when they are vicious, and the heel turn was vicious on Adam Copeland. So once they invited him into the ring, you knew once they showed him on TV, really, and then it was FTR coming out, I was like, uh-oh. But then when they invited him in the ring, we all knew something bad was happening.
I mean, if it was any indicator, I mean, we saw what they did to Daniel Garcia, to 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they do not care who they hurt anymore, which is insane to think about. But hey, you know what? Good on you, FTR. You're getting people talking about you. You're getting all that heat against you. Hopefully we have some world tag title opportunities in your near future.
Yeah, but it looks like, the Paragon came out to run them off. So it looks like, are we going to be getting maybe Roddy and Kyle against them for like a little first, here's a feud you're going to win as your first feud as a bad guys now?
Which is an interesting thing, because I'm trying to think, did we ever have the Revival versus Undisputed era back in like NXT at all?
I want to say they were already, I think they were either already on the main roster or they were already gone. They had to be on the main roster, right?
Yeah, I feel like they were ships in the night with NXT, because Revival went up, and then Undisputed Era were pretty much, they were NXT their entire run.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, I can check it real quick, but nothing off the top of my head is, I think they missed each other, if I'm being honest. Oh, no. Yeah. Yeah, I think they missed each other.
Which is kind of crazy to think that all these years later in a completely different company.
Hey, yeah, the only thing that shows up is FTR versus Undisputed Kingdom when I type in Undisputed Era versus FTR. So they have never faced each other.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm still kind of intrigued about the whole like Paragon and like Undisputed Kingdom disbanding, because I'm very curious where Taven and Bennett going to go. Because I don't know if they're back in Ring of Honor.
I was going to say Ring of Honor would be my guess, but I don't know if they've been on that show. I don't know where they've been. Are they MIA everywhere?
For the other shoe to drop where maybe we do get that Paragon match with FTR, and then Taven and Bennett come out and they end up screwing over Kyle O'Reilly and Roddy Strong. So
that's what I think they should do. I think that they've clearly gone away from the Undisputed Kingdom. They're not even referenced anymore. Instead of just stashing them on Ring of Honor where they've been for a lot of their, the majority of their career. I would love if they came back and turned or started a thing with Paragon, because I feel like that would be proper, because they kind of were just shoved aside. They were part of the group.
Yeah, and then one thing happens and then just you don't see them anymore at all, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. But, stranger things have happened, but we do keep the tag team action rolling, because we have the Young Bucks in tag team action on Dynamite for the first time in months, going against two of the newest AEW stars in Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey. Mm-hmm. Mr. $100,000 richer after that huge tag match. Did we ever figure out what sneakers that Mike Bailey was going to wear? I haven't seen
a follow-up yet.
The irony is that man Russell's barefoot too, so
sure does.
Can you blame him? I wouldn't want to crease my Air Force Ones if I were him.
No, Oh, I'm getting a run in right now. Oh. Don't worry, he likes to. Yeah, it's okay.
Hey, you know what? Cats and wrestling go hand in hand.
Exactly. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, but last one hell of a tag match, I would like to say.
Yeah, very good, very very good.
Explosive, exactly what you would expect from a Young Bucks match, but also just Speedball and Kevin Knight. I didn't realize just how good of a tag team they could be. They've always been excellent competitors regardless, but having that synergy that they had immediately tonight, it felt like they were tag teams for years already. So, they just work well together. We have, got a military press on the cat. Uh-oh.
No, we're good. We're good.
There we go.
He was sometimes he comes and he just sits down and he's nice and easy, and sometimes he's like, "I'm here to wreck things."
Yeah.
And I had a feeling he was going towards the wrecking pie. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna make this easy for all of us. So.
Yes, gotta love a cat. Just cat things.
It's their world. We just live in them. We just live in it. They make the rules. But
he came. He went. He conquered.
See you later. You know what? We'll just do this. Nice and easy. Oh, that goes. No, he does run in. I do let him run in because he likes, but it's all right. This was a hell of a tag match, though.
Yeah.
It was really, really good. Ospreay, and they have done such a good job with Kevin Knight since they brought him in. We talked about it a little bit earlier with the other segment there, but they've involved him with main event, top of the card, best worker in the company talent since he showed up. And it makes him clearly, because he is, I knew of the, when they signed him, I saw everybody and people that I know, in the media and stuff, they were very excited. I hadn't seen a lot of his work before he was in AEW, but he's been nothing but impressive from the onset. And I'm very, very blown away and impressed by this guy. Like, he's quickly becoming one of my favorites. And you put him in there and team him up with a guy like Ospreay, and it was like these guys have been teaming for a decade.
Yeah, no, him and Speedball
Crazy.
been freaking phenomenal.
Oh, and
also just the crazy stuff they had going on. I mean, that
Speedball,
Meltzer
sorry.
driver to the floor off the barricade was insanity.
Yeah,
They had like a doomsday device on the outside too. I mean, ultimately the Bucks get the win. I mean, as kind of expected, because the Bucks are back. You got to give them a win. But I mean, I don't think either Speedball or Kevin Knight looked weak in defeat, especially considering the fact that we saw Ricochet make his presence in this match, because he doesn't like the fact that Kevin Knight didn't let him go stabby on Mark Briscoe.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I'm sorry, I said Ospreay, but I meant Speedball. Yeah, I mean, it made sense. It was the Young Bucks' first match since October, they said. So they're not gonna lose this match. But like you said, like, Speedball and Kevin Knight had such a good showing, and they got so much offense in this. And just their offense is so unique to both. Like, they both have such individual, unique offenses and the things they do. And they got all their stuff in, and they looked wonderful. And the Ricochet aspect, it wasn't really a straight up victory for the Young Bucks because of that stuff. So I think that obviously doesn't make Knight look bad in defeat and things like that. So yeah, I thought this was a really good match. The Young Bucks get over in their first match back and get the win, and you still make Kevin Knight and Speedball look like superstars. So
now, the $1 million question is, do you think we do Kevin Knight and Ricochet at Double or Nothing, or maybe we do something at Beach Break to set up something for the TNT title? It doesn't look like Adam Cole has a challenger at the moment.
He doesn't. I mean, it feels like, well, they added it feels like they're going to make that Beach Break show a massive, massive, massive show. So I feel like it's
a Chicago show, of course.
Exactly. So I feel like this could be something like maybe where they have a match here and then something happens that leads to a rematch at Double or Nothing. Maybe they go that route, but the Adam Cole situation, easy. Either one of these guys could slide right in as a main challenger, or, they could somehow get to a triple. Yeah, but I think Ricochet sliding in to fight Adam Cole would be a great little matchup for Double or Nothing for the title, for sure.
And the roles are reversed this time around, because I mean, we did see them clash in NXT before. I think it's also just interesting having the dynamic of now you have Adam Cole, who's not always been known to play a great babyface, but I feel like given just how much people don't like Ricochet right now, it's going to make it a little bit easier. So. And just like how he already has like the history with them, obviously from the previous company, but just knowing like they have counters for each other's offense, they can be just as explosive as they need to, or they can be methodical and slow it down. So, who knows?
I agree.
But after that, we do see the AEW Women's World Champion, Timeless Toni Storm, and Luther backstage with Renee Paquette, talking about the fact that not only is she keeping a keen eye on everything going on with the semifinals of the Owen Hart tournament, just making sure nobody gets too hurt. She doesn't want blood on her dress. She has the TCM Film Festival to go to this weekend, where she's singing a little ditty, little indie film. It's a radical concept. I think it's only not too often we get a sequel like this. I think it's called The Empire Strikes Back.
Saw that, yeah, that young little film. That's the Uproar independent film. That's pretty cool. Yeah. That's pretty cool that she's going to be red carpeting for that. So that's awesome.
Definitely cool. I mean, especially if you have daddy issues. I mean, that is the movie to go to. But I mean, we do also hear her talking about the fact that she's really in the mood for an eliminator match, trying to see who's willing to step up and go tit to tit with Toni Storm, and who better Then Queen Aminata coming in and stepping up to the plate. So we have it official that Queen Aminata is going to go one-on-one with Toni Storm at this week's Collision. So eliminator action there. I don't think she's going to get the win over Toni, but hey, I mean, I'm never going to complain about Queen Aminata in any action, let alone the fact that it's with Toni Storm. So they're probably going to wallop each other, and I can't.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of surprised, but I was very excited when it was Queen Aminata that rolled up there. I very much enjoy her work. She's excellent. This is a big time match, and I agree with you. I don't think it's a match she will win, but it's a good spot to be fighting the champion on one of the main shows, and I think they are going to beat the crap out of each other. And they are both physical wrestlers. They're going to beat the crap out of each other. It's going to be a brutal little match. Hopefully they get a lot of time because it will be a special one on Collision. That's a big match for Collision, and I'm very excited. Hopefully, and I've said this before when we've seen her sparingly, but hopefully this leads to Queen Aminata being more of a regular on AEW television because she truly is very, very good.
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, we saw the series of matches she had with Julia Hart. Even before that, if we want to go back a little bit, her facing Mercedes for that TBS championship had a great showing there. And even before that, this is a deep cut. If you guys want to go back on Honor Club last year, Death Before Dishonor, her versus Athena for the ROH Women's World title was my Ring of Honor match of the year.
Wow.
And I dare say, I don't think anything really held a candle to it for like AEW wise, except for maybe Stat versus Mercedes 2, as far as the women's stuff goes. So I would say if you guys have Honor Club, go back and watch it. Do yourself a favor. It is that damn good. Queen Aminata is that damn good, and she deserves the world. So yes, as always. But following that, we do see the Hurt Syndicate making their way out to the ring, because it seems like they have some business to tend to. A little bit of propositions being made by one Maxwell Jacob Friedman, as we've seen over the last week or so. We did see the alluring offer he made last week to one Shelton Benjamin with a nice Rolex and a bountiful group of women. Do what you will with that. But we do see MJF rolling up into the arena with a nice Corvette convertible. Gorgeous Corvette.
Very good. Very, very, very good looking car.
Yep. He makes his way out. He's looking for all 3 thumbs up from the Hurt Syndicate, which, surprising me, MVP gave him a thumbs up. I was not expecting MVP to give him that moment, but hey, he got that, and that set the tone for the whole segment. And then he's just like thinking about what he might have to do to bargain and everything too. I mean, Shelton, seeing MVP, gave him the thumbs up. He gives him thumbs up, but he reminds him that it wasn't because of the fact that you gave me a watch or I had all these women in Boston. No, it's literally only because of him. So don't get too comfortable. And then the bargaining with Bobby Lashley begins.
Yeah.
Which this is going to be shocking, so I hope you guys are sitting down for this one. MJF admits that he got things off on the wrong foot with Bobby Lashley.
Sure did.
And while it took him a while to get there,
it was painful for him.
Yeah, I mean, he does say that he was sorry. Which, huge pop from the crowd. And then to show that he's truly making up for him, he is willing to make Bobby Lashley an offer he can't refuse, because not only can they dominate all of AEW, they could dominate all of professional wrestling. Which leads us to him pledging that if you give me that thumbs up, that sports car I came in, you could have it. And Bobby Lashley, being Bobby Lashley's like, you know what? You got the keys? Let me get a closer look. So they all start making their way out to the back. You see commentary talking for a little bit. And then Bobby Lashley decides, you know what? I want to get a closer look. The keys check out. He's looking at the interior. He starts to sit down in the driver's seat, gets comfortable. Shelton's with him in the passenger seat. And then he slowly starts to exit the arena. And then MJF's like, whoa, 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 whoa. I mean, so do we got ourselves a deal? And we see him. He has his thumb sideways, points it down, and he scurries out.
MJF losing it. Beautiful. I like, again, this was another segment that I very much enjoyed. I even like, before MJF even got out there, MVP had a nice little promo where he was talking about every team that we've beaten, they've been ghosts since. They have not come back yet. We're just ruining people. And then you get to the MJF stuff. And I thought it was really good. When MJF said the line, when MJF was like, hey, Bobby, you're great at this, but there's just some things I'm great at that you're not. I think, at least in my brain, I was like, uh-oh. I was like, I thought he was going to go one way, but he actually went with I've been here since the beginning. I know my way around here better than anybody. I know my way to cut corners and get to where we need to go better than anybody. So I thought that whole segment with MJF, I just thought he was going to go like the MJF, he's going to be a dick route, but he kind of was, and then, it's very rare that MJF gets a fast one pulled on him. And I thought Bobby did that tonight. And, right afterwards, he's flipping out and he's losing it. And then MVP just puts his arm around him and says, hey, like I told you, give the people what they want. And MJF kind of just takes a deep breath and he's like, duh, and he just kind of walks off. I thought it was really good. I'm digging where they're, I've enjoyed this from the jump with MJF and them. And I just like it. I like how Bobby's playing hardball, man. Bobby's even gives him a $200,000, whatever that, $150,000 sports car, whatever that was. And he's like, nah, still not good enough. But thanks for the car, though.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and it's just crazy to think because of all the people that could potentially join the Hurt Syndicate, MJF was never on my bingo board. He's still not really on my bingo board, but I mean, stranger things have happened in pro wrestling. So who's to say one can join one stable and one can't? I still feel like we might get Cedric Alexander once his 90 days is up.
Okay.
So they're back.
I wouldn't mind that. Can I throw something at you? Because I think this personally will lead to I think Bobby's eventually going to break, but I don't know if Max actually joins because I think Max will turn. Could we see Max? Could we see down the line? Maybe Max, FTR, and Max. Like Max could help FTR win the tag titles from them because they think Max is in. You know what I'm talking about? If we get to something, because on commentary, not tonight. But the last couple weeks, they're not referring to the old AEW group, but there's been some sprinkling of the word the pinnacle and things like in the last 2 or 3 weeks of the show. Like the commentators have said it in MJF segments and things like that. And in my brain, I'm like, if FTR is going heel, and I know the Hurt Syndicate play off as heels, but they're the crowd. They're not. The crowd they're over. I think a real good way would be if that ended up happening and you had MJF actually turn on the Hurt Syndicate when they would think he's on their side. And maybe that's how you get heel FTR as tag champs or making that route there. I think that's something that could happen.
Yeah, or I mean, he probably gets that third thumbs up, and then instead of actually following through with it, I think that's where you bring in someone like an FTR. Because I mean, I don't think they're bringing in any other outsiders to fill out. There's going to be another version of the Pinnacle, especially with Alex Hammerstone winning the MLW title. I don't think we're going to be seeing them anytime soon together. But
no,
I'm very intrigued to see how this goes.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we follow this up with another backstage segment with Renee Paquette, this time with Hangman Adam Page, because next week on Dynamite, it is his semifinal match in the Owen Hart tournament going against Kyle Fletcher. And if there's one thing Hangman is, he's mad as hell.
Oh, yeah. Always. Always and forever. Pacing just looks like he's just in pure misery. Just looks like he's in pure, always just pissed off.
And then, not to make anything even worse, MJF also comes in the foil. And, he tries to be the bigger person. He puts over Hangman, talking about how he's a great competitor. He could never just count him in the ring. He mentions they have a record of 1-1 against each other, maybe hinting at a rubber match down the line. But he has to do MJF things and talks about the fact that, well, I mean, good luck next week. I just hope that even if you go all the way, you don't do what you usually do and choke. To which Hangman's like, well, I could give you something to choke on right now if you really want to. And, MJF doesn't like that. He does his Snagglepussy exit stage left. And that leads us back into the next match on this episode of Dynamite. More tag team action. I mean, I'm not mad at it because this, again, I enjoyed this match. We had Will Ospreay making his way out to the ring with Brody King to go against Takeshita. I'm getting tongue-tied tonight. It is a long day today, guys. This is why we don't normally do live shows out on Wednesday night, but screw it, we're doing them. And as well as AEW's other new signee, now member of the Don Callis family, Josh Alexander, the Walking Weapon, who I'm very glad is now part of AEW.
Yeah. Oh, very much so. That was I very much enjoyed that he was the wild card last week. I think he fits, and I think putting him with the Callis family actually kind of works for him, big time. He's got that history with Don and the Canadian aspect of it, and TNA and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I think this is a good fit for him, and I this kind of next iteration of the Callis family that we're seeing now. There were a couple injuries, people, but now we have some new members. We see something that happens that we'll talk about in a minute. I'm kind of, again, like the Callis family is the Callis family. They get all the heat. I don't dislike the wrestlers that are in the Callis family. It's Callis that everyone is like, get off.
Oh, bingo.
But I'm liking the group they're putting together. For like that next little, like I said, iteration of the Callis. So this tag match was great.
And of note, accompanying the Don Callis family, it is not Kyle Fletcher this time. It is Lance Archer of all people. So
yeah,
I mean, we do see lots of action. I didn't think that Brody King and Will Ospreay were going to work as well together as they did, but they had some crazy offense. I mean, it was like a power bomb into like a double knee situation going on. It was just like they were really doing what they do best. We have Brody, who's like the big brawler guy, who's also strong as fuck, and then you have Will Ospreay doing Will Ospreay things. So, and then you combine that with the hard hitting offense that Takeshita has, and just Josh Alexander being like technical wrestler extraordinaire. It was a great clash of styles. We do eventually see Lance Archer making his way onto the apron, trying to cause distraction, gets taken out to the outside by Ospreay for a dive, which also kind of sets up like this huge rolling double elbow there by Takeshita and Alexander. And eventually, Brody King falls victim to the C4 spike. 1, 2, 3. Don Callis family wins, but it's never enough just to win. No, they got to pour salt in the wounds. They start beating him down even more. Kyle Fletcher makes his way out to the ring now, which triggers one Hangman Adam Page because it's on site whenever he sees Kyle Fletcher, as it should be. But before he can even get his hands on Kyle Fletcher, we see Rocky Romero and Trent also aligned with the Don Callis family now, taking out Hangman. They toss him back in the ring. They beat him down more. And Hangman is left on his back looking up at the lights after a brain buster by Kyle Fletcher, setting the tone for next week's semifinals match.
Liked it. I liked it. That match is going to be so good next week. That match is going to be so good. I liked it. We saw it looked like, on this past week's Collision that this was a way they were going potentially with Rocky and Trent, because there was a little thing that happened over there, but to kind of have them come out and Rocky Romero's wearing the suit. He's wearing the suit with the nice chain, and Trent's got the hoodie over his face, and officially they're part of the group now. I think it made sense. They beat the crap out of Hangman. Fletcher looks strong because I'm not sure he's winning. I'm picking Hangman next week. I think
it would be a great surprise if he did win, but I feel like Hangman's probably going to end up going all the way this year.
Yeah, so I thought it was good to make Fletcher look strong. He needed all of his buddies to do so, but it makes sense. Fletcher looks strong. They lay Hangman out. Hangman gets his revenge next week. But again, this was another great, there were a lot of them tonight, but this was another really fun tag match that led to a pretty cool angle after the tag match. Yeah, that was kind of the formula tonight, I felt like.
And also we find out during the tag match that we have ourselves an AEW World Championship match set for a couple weeks in Chicago for Dynamite Beach Break. Jon Moxley defending the championship against Samoa Joe. Interesting that they're doing it on Dynamite and not on Double or Nothing. So it makes you wonder, perhaps we get a little anarchy in the arena.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. I mean, it looks like that in that first segment from earlier in the night, you figure you had the Death Riders out there. The Bucks come out to help Moxley. You got the Opps. You have Swerve and Kenny. That's 5. And 5. I know Okada was out there too. So I don't know if you could make it 6-on-6 if you wanted to and things like that. But it felt like that first segment definitely got me in that. And then once they announced that the title match is happening 2 weeks before Double or Nothing, it's like, okay, well, if they're having the title match there, then I'm assuming the main event or one of the main events for Double or Nothing, you can throw Anarchy in the arena with these 5 or 6-on-6, 5-on-5, however you want to do it. And that's a big time match. And you don't have to worry about the title, because really that night should be about the people that are going to be fighting for the titles at All In. Right.
Yeah.
Because the Owen finals will be there in both sides. So I think that's a good way for Moxley to have a big match and the Death Riders to be involved, but it's not defending the title. And then we find out who he's actually going to be defending it against when we get to All In. So I think that's the route they go.
Yeah. And then I have a controversial question for you. Do you think we need Anarchy in the arena to close the show like it normally does at Double or Nothing?
No, I would have it open the show.
See, I was thinking the same thing too, because I don't think they've ever opened with it.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you want a hot crowd on a pay-per-view, give them all the plunder in the world to start out, because that's going to set the tone for the entire night. Because by the time an AEW pay-per-view usually comes to an end, like we're looking at like upwards of 5 hours of wrestling, they're going to be burnt out.
Oh yeah.
As much as I would love for a big match to close the show and everything too, and they keep a hot crowd, I know like let them get their energy out first. It'll rebuild, and then keep that energy throughout everything else in the card. I think there's just looking at how brackets are going, I would personally like to see the women's Owen finals as the main event, because it's a first-time match between two of the biggest stars you have there, which we will talk about who advances in the main event shortly. But yeah, no, I'd be very, very interested in seeing what's going on. Just looking at YouTube chat, Ascended Sand making a good point. Where the hell Jack Perry been?
Well, I was just going to say, if they do have an Anarchy in the arena at Double or Nothing, you know, it would be a good way to bring Jack Perry back to probably align with the Elite or even the Death Riders. That would be a good way to get the heels over. Jack Perry shows up in his van or his bus, whatever that thing was, you know, and he helps them win. I think that would be a perfect spot for Jack Perry to show up again. He has been gone for a long time. And you know, you would assume he would be with the Elite, but when we saw him with the Elite, he didn't really look thrilled to be with the Elite. And Moxley, last time we saw, they had that thing in the back when the Death Riders were first starting, where he put over Jack Perry. He said, "I've always liked you, kid. I've always, you know." Either way, but I think if we do end up getting to one of these, either, you know, Anarchy in the arena, Blood and Guts, whatever they do with I think if Jack Perry were to come back, that would be the perfect scenario for him to do so.
Yeah. I mean, if he doesn't get involved there, I mean, the only thing that I could think of is if there's going to be like maybe Casino ladder match or something.
Yeah, that would work too. Yeah.
A surprise entrant, but alas, we have our main event of Dynamite. I'm glad that at least if it's going to be the only one on the card, it is the main event, and it was also a damn good main event. In the Owen Hart women's semifinals, we saw Jamie Hayter, the former world champion, going against the former TBS champion Chris Statlander in a great match to close the show. Their first singles clash against each other. I'm very, very glad we got to see this happen. Although I will say, I did not expect the person that won to win. So, JPJ, your thoughts on our main event tonight?
I thought it was a very good match. I was very happy to see that this was the match that was main eventing. I like that. I would like, you know, we're starting to see maybe a little bit of a trend here that we can keep going. Like, you know, I was shocked that this was their first ever match, to be honest with you.
Yeah, honestly, I think probably just because by the time that Jamie was the world champion, I think it was right as Chris was like coming back and like taking the TBS title off of Jade Cargill, so they just didn't have a chance to interact.
Yeah,
but I mean, it certainly lived up to the hype.
Oh, both these women are badasses, hard-hitting, strong, physical wrestlers. This match was great. Statlander I was towards the end of the match, but the 450 at the end, like towards the end, like Statlander is so, I mean, they both are, but Statlander is just so damn good. And, you know, I thought and I want to bring this up as like kind of a greater discussion before we end the show, but I was a little bit shocked too. But now that I think about, I mean, Jamie Hayter does have a long history with Toni Storm. So her being in the final at the very least, I think that makes sense because, you know, the final is her and Mercedes. That's going to be a killer match at Double. Like, it's just a killer match. And obviously Mercedes has to be the favorite probably going into it. But the bigger story with Toni I would argue that maybe the bigger match for Tony would be Mercedes, and Tony might be the bigger match they have, but the better story they have 1000% would be Jamie Hayter going after Tony again for the title.
I agree.
Because, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things where I think you win either way. But it makes me think, we had that great match last week with Athena and Mercedes. Everyone thought that maybe would be the final of this tournament, but they had them on the same side of the bracket, so we got in the semifinal. Is there a way that Hayter just beats Mercedes and we somehow get to Mercedes and Athena again for the title in Texas? Because I still feel like Athena's from Texas. It's all in Texas. I do feel like Mercedes and her for that TBS title, I feel like they should do it again there.
Oh, I completely agree. So here's where things get a little bit more interesting is the fact that obviously we also had Jamie Hayter who came back at last year's All In. So I would love to see her get that big championship match. I mean, when she won the championship originally, it was a very different Toni Storm. So this was the Toni Storm that descended into chaos to become timeless. And also you have a mega babyface Jamie Hayter now too. She's like no longer working with the Outcasts at all. I mean, obviously we don't see anything with Saraya anymore since she left AEW. I mean, Ruby Soho has been off of television ever since she had a baby, which is still everybody's doing well there, which can't complain about.
Of course.
But I feel like the bigger story for Mercedes has to be Athena, especially because of the way that match ended last week. What really threw a wrench into these plans, I think, is just the moving of Supercard of Honor to the night before. Because I always pictured it was going to be winner take all. Because you have Mercedes being the belt collector. Of course, she wants another championship. And also, with her being a huge Eddie Guerrero fan, Eddie worked early Ring of Honor before he went back to WWE. Mercedes has never had a Ring of Honor match at all in her career. What would be a bigger moment than in Eddie's home state of Texas winning the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship from the longest reigning champion in history, while also still holding the TBS Championship, the New Japan Strong Women's Championship, and she just defended the Rev Pro British Women's Undisputed Championship this past weekend successfully. So there is a huge possibility we do see Mercedes 5 belts, or at the very least, we have someone that stops that huge TBS title reign being Athena. It's just a matter of if Athena's going to go into All In with the ROH Women's World title or not, just based on the fact that you have that show literally the night before.
Yeah. And that would look kind of weird, right? If she lost the night before, like she loses her title the night before just to go win another one the day, she's one of the best wrestlers in the world. It would make sense. She's that good. She can do that. But like
it has
from
to
a
be the
booking
right
perspective, that would feel weird. Yeah, that would feel weird to me.
The only way I think it would make sense and I'd be okay with it is if it was Billy Starks that took the title off of her.
Yes.
Which she should have done 2 Final Battle main events ago, but that is neither here nor there.
She should have won at that time. That was the story.
It would also be an interesting dynamic because, okay, Athena lost in her hometown. She lost the championship that she was on a path to hold for 1,000 days, and then immediately having to bounce back and go after Mercedes. Because we haven't seen Athena be vulnerable in years. So, I mean, if you're already going to have like a hometown reaction as if she's going to be the biggest babyface, maybe that's the thing that puts her over the edge. Who's like, okay, I already lost the championship that means the most to me.
Yep.
I'm not leaving this city without a belt around my waist, regardless of which one it is.
Yeah. So, I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that at all. I don't know if they would do. Yeah, see that event getting moved to the night before. That is because you have to assume she's defending the Ring of Honor Women's Championship on that show.
I would be genuinely surprised if she doesn't.
Yeah, exactly, right? So she's going to be wrestling, and then you would think that, I mean, unless Mercedes just wins the damn thing at Double or Nothing, and we're just kind of fantasy booking a fantasy book, I guess. But I don't.
And then you also throw in the wrench that Ring of Honor still has a women's television championship that has not been defended in months.
Yeah.
But not only that, they just announced the women's pure championship for a division that doesn't exist. And the person that you would have had that would have been the perfect first women's pure champion, Layla Hirsch, is no longer in AEW.
Makes no sense.
So now we're back to square one with the ROH women's division because now you have Athena on AEW television here and there, looking strong as hell, over as hell. But you have not built up anybody in Ring of Honor in 3 years to be at her level to make sense to be the next champion, because you didn't give it to Billy. You didn't give it to Aminata. You didn't give it to Sheeta. You didn't give it back to Mercedes Martinez, who hasn't been seen in God knows how long.
No. Mm.
Like, you have so many options. Deonna Purrazzo is not doing anything at the moment.
Nope.
Which is crazy considering
Ridiculous.
her and Taya were doing stuff as the Vendetta, and now Taya's back with Johnny TV.
Yeah.
There has been just a huge mismanagement with some of these talent in the women's division in AEW and Ring of Honor, because it's the same division. We're just like, you have the tools, you have the assets, you have the talent. Just throw the book at them and let magic happen, because it will.
I agree. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, the Deonna Purrazzo thing is just arguably one of the best wrestlers.
We still haven't had Deonna versus Mercedes yet.
Yeah, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like,
if you're
how
going
is
to
she
have the
not
two
wrestling?
biggest free agents at that time sign in AEW that year, and they haven't even so much as looked at each other on television.
No, it's just very bizarre to me what's going on with Deonna Purrazzo, because, like, you sign her, it's a huge signing. You act like it's a huge signing, and she's never involved in anything. I don't even think
Tony
she's
that Revolution, and then off TV for a little bit. Then she feuds with Thunder Rosa on Collision for a little bit. They have like that huge Texas death match. I mean, it was good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Or the bull rope match, excuse me. Then she's off TV again. Then you have her and Taya doing stuff, becoming the Vendetta.
Yeah.
And then when the Vendetta is like actually starting to wrestle on TV, you don't let him win.
No. Very bizarre. And then like you said, and now Taya's doing what feels like she's just back to the old thing with Johnny TV.
Exactly.
And now Deonna's nowhere to be seen. And it's like, why do you have this all-world talent there that you are not, you're just not you? I don't. It's very bizarre.
I'm not saying they're the only company to do it, because
of course not.
Every company has an overabundance of talent to some degree that doesn't get utilized.
Yeah.
It just means you have to sharpen your tacks on how to make sure that you're spreading the wealth.
Agreed. Agreed. And they have a lot. Yeah, they have a lot of, and we've seen progress. We've seen progress when it comes to the women. They main evented tonight. We've seen progress in things like that. But they have a lot.
That have come back. We've seen Penelope Ford come back. We've seen Serena Deeb in action again. We've seen Robin Renegade on action. Like, it looked like she was teaming up with Mercedes for a little bit. Cameron's been on a tear recently. Julia Hart's back in the mix. I mean, they truly do have the talent. It's just utilizing them to the fullest. I
agree. You have a deep roster, and like I said, you are improving the way you are treating the division and booking the division and things like that. But like, you just got to put a little bit more focus on it. We need to see some of the people you're not using, because you have a great roster, and then you have even more of a great roster that people that we actually just don't see at all. And Deonna is one of them right now, unfortunately. But yeah, they have a super deep roster. So I would like the progress to continue, and we just get more and more and more of it, because they have a chance. Like, they have a strong women's division. They have a very strong women's division. They just need to utilize them all to the way they should. And they're just they're
to think that we've had a tournament where names were left off. We had that Casino Gauntlet match when they were setting up Toni Storm going to face Mariah May again, who hasn't been seen since.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if we're going to see her again.
Well, the rumors are out there. I've always said that I feel like, so they do the Continental Classic for I think they should have a women's Continental Classic every year. I think that they should do one of each. They should do the men's and the
sort of round robin tournament.
Yeah, whatever you want to do. You want to call it something else, but like a similar style thing. I was just like, oh, they do the men's one in like late fall, early winter, or winter into spring. You can do a women's one in like summer into fall. You just spread them out, and you could do that. If you want to call it something else, that's fine. But I just thought, just give the women they have plenty of, just give them a Continental Classic as well.
And honestly, what I thought they would have done this year that I'm surprised they didn't was when they had Revolution, there was no ladder match this year.
Oh yeah, do that.
Yeah, the first woman's face of the Revolution ladder match.
Yeah.
We could possibly have the first women's blood and guts match. I mean, there are plenty of stipulations or just ways to get the women showcased beyond just like the usual one match on Dynamite and then maybe two on a Collision, which, I mean, I'm all for Collision having more than one women's match. I feel like every wrestling show should always have more than one women's match, but also make sure that they're being utilized in a way that makes sense and can still tell the story, not just having them on there for a quota.
Yeah, I agree.
But alas, I mean, we just talked up and down Dynamite this week. Overall, I still had a great time watching this episode.
Oh,
so
it was a fun episode. It was very fun.
Yeah, a little promo heavy, more so than I'm used to on Dynamite, but hey, it got the job done. I'm invested in where things are going, and we still have just about 4 weeks until Double or Nothing, which should be a very good show. So I'm excited about
and and that's why I think even for AEW, I was kind of okay with a little bit more of a promo heavy one, because we do have a month, but we don't, and we have thoughts of where it's going to go, but we still don't have an idea of what most of the card is going to be. So I think having a night like this where it's more story driven through promos and things like that, now you're starting to see, like, over the next week or so, we're going to start to see, okay, we're going to have this match. We're going to have this match. So, they got to build a card here for what essentially now All In feels like their WrestleMania. But Double or Nothing to me felt like it was their WrestleMania forever. You know what I mean? Until they moved All In.
Until they got the name for All In back, it did. Yeah. And now it just kind of feels like Slammiversary, like how TNA has it, where it's like the anniversary show, which is still a big accomplishment in itself.
Yeah.
But we know it's not the biggest show. It's like the SummerSlam of the show.
Yes.
So as it stands right now, the only concrete match for certain is Mercedes Moné versus Jamie Hayter in the Owen finals for the women. We still don't know who Will Ospreay is going to face. So it's either going to be Hangman or it's going to be Kyle Fletcher, and we find that out next week. So,
yeah. I mean, that's good either way. I mean, I think it'll be Hangman, but I mean, I'm not going to argue with Fletcher and Ospreay 3. So, I wouldn't be against it, but
story you want to tell.
Exactly. But I think I think either way, like I said, either way you win there. Like, we've seen what Ospreay and Fletcher can do. Ospreay and Hangman would be a lot of fun, though. That would be a lot of fun. I'd be all in on that. No pun intended.
Yeah, and of note, I'm just looking at the brackets right now. So far, the longest matches in both tournaments. So, Konosuke Tatsuya versus Will Ospreay, their semifinal match, that went 21 minutes 43 seconds, and then not to be outdone, Mercedes versus Athena in Boston, 21 minutes and 12 seconds. So,
both those matches were on the same show.
Yeah, it was literally a matter of like, okay, I'm gonna try to one up you. You started the show hot. I'm gonna make sure we're the one that got over. Like, no, we're the one that got over, which is the way a wrestling show should be.
100%.
Everybody should be trying to get themselves over and keep the crowd hot all night. Nobody likes lulls in the action. Keep it up.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, we were spoiled last week. We were spoiled last week in Boston. That was an all-time Dynamite that they gave us there. So we were spoiled, but to see those two matches live, my God. The Mercedes Athena match, I actually enjoyed that match a smidge more than the Ospreay Takeshita one, but they like, and I'm talking a smidge. But those were two of the best matches I've ever seen live.
Oh yeah, and then I mean, obviously it's just different style matches too, because it felt like Athena and Mercedes was just a battle of like, well, I can't afford to lose. I'm just gonna do whatever I can to win, but they went in knowing not to try to hit them with their best shots. Because Mercedes, we didn't see her really go for like the moneymaker at all.
Nope.
And when Athena went for the O-face, she got rolled up and she lost.
Yep.
Whereas you have a match with Takeshita and Ospreay, which is like they're going to kick out at one whenever they can, just because that's how much they despise each other, one, and how much it means to possibly become world champion too. So, alas, this was a great follow-up episode to that Dynamite. We are well on the road to Double or Nothing and to Beach Break, but if you guys like what we do here, make sure that you are staying in touch with Body Slam, because we're going to be here every Wednesday following Dynamite moving forward. So make sure to give this one a like. If you're coming back and watching the VOD, comment what your thoughts are before next week's Dynamite. If you notice anything on Collision that you want us to talk about coming into this episode that might not get touched on the Sunday special, by all means, we're all open for it. But until then, JPJ, anything you want to plug right now?
Tomorrow, over on Love Wrestling CA. It's kind of JPJ day over there in the morning. I have Firmly Inc., where we're going to be talking about WrestleMania over the weekend. Obviously, a little bit of Dynamite. We talk about basically just AEW and WWE, their weekend wrestling for them. So a big week. And then tomorrow night, 8 p.m., the flagship with Pluggo, Between Two Beards. So Thursdays are kind of my day. I got a morning show and a night show over there on Love Wrestling. So
yeah, got a book on the day with some good talking over there.
As
far as me, this is a rare occasion where I don't have a weekend to plug anything.
Going,
8 podcasts in 6 days.
I was going to say, we're coming off a crazy weekend, so it's not too bad to have one off.
Yeah, Jose's a little tired at the moment, so don't mind me. If I do end up going live on Twitch, you guys can follow my socials, Jose in the Air, everywhere. That'll keep you covered. The Mother Tucking Post show, the RuPaul's Drag Race show I do with Auntie Collins. We just wrapped up season 17 on Monday, but don't worry. Starting Friday, May 9th, we are back again because RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars 10 kicks off immediately on Paramount Plus and WoW Presents Plus. So we're going to Friday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. So if you need a break from this little thing we call pro wrestling and you want to hear some hilarious takes about the world of drag, hey, we'll welcome you in.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe trade the arm drag for a drag queen. That's all you got to do.
Hey.
You know, it writes itself. But yes, bodyslam.net has you covered for all your professional wrestling needs. Shroom Bar, eatshroombar.com. First order using code bodyslam will get you 25% off. Helps us help you guys stay in tune with everything going on. But until then, we will see you guys next time. So take care, everybody. Have a good night. And we will see you next week on Dynamite.